Dan, 1 year ago today, where were you and what were you doing?
Probably sitting right here and probably not doing the same thing, but I have no idea.
I was doing something very similar to what I'm doing today. 1 year ago, last year, I was sitting in a lawn chair in my shorts and a t-shirt watching the total eclipse of the sun.
Oh, is that a year ago already?
1 year ago today.
Wow.
The only difference between then and now is that I am wearing two coats and my heavy socks and a knit cap, and I'm still watching a total eclipse of the sun because we got about the thickest cloud cover this world's ever seen.
Well, if you take those glasses off, you'll see better.
Yeah, it is overcast and winter has returned. It was in the high teens this morning,
Yikes.
with light snow.
Woo. Yeah, not good.
And yeah, 2 days ago I was stacking in shorts.
My oh my. Yep. That's
Mhm.
Mother Nature is she's can't make up her mind. I don't know.
No, not this year.
Nope.
Winter is holding on, man. And it was even worse because I went about a week without any heat in my truck,
Oh,
and yeah, I finally got that fixed. Oh
well
boy,
that's good.
trucks. What do they say? Payments or parts? Take your choice,
What do
right?
you want? Yeah, take your pick. What do you want to have?
Uh huh. But gosh, they're just I don't know. I don't want this to be about prices and stuff, but how can anyone afford a brand new truck? Or or why would anyone want to afford a brand new truck? I
That's
can't
the bigger
imagine.
question.
Yeah, can you imagine buying a brand new F-150 for what now, 60, 70, $80,000 and like throwing a cinder block into the back of it? I don't think so.
Right. Or some of these like F-250 diesels, like 120, 115, $115,000 for a
Jeez.
vehicle.
Come on.
Crazy.
The best advice I had ever received was from a mechanic. He said, if you want to change the world, quit buying stuff.
Well,
And maybe that, but people keep buying these trucks. Holy cow.
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how and I don't know why. That's the other thing. Why? My goodness.
Yeah. Well, I know how. They probably sell firewood and they are just awash with cash.
Yeah, I was just going to say, well, there
Yeah.
must be an awful lot of firewood sellers out there. That's why.
Yeah. People ask me, Joe, why do you sell firewood? Because I want to be rich and I want
Yeah.
women to throw themselves at me. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a better profession out there?
I need that extended bed on the pickup to haul my cash to the bank.
Yeah, well, keep on dreaming there, hobbyist.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh, we missed last week getting hobbyist in, so
Yeah, we
there you
did.
go. Good thing you got that in. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dan, I don't want to talk about the weather. Um, but it's not very often that we do, but I just do want to say it is mid April. It is still winter outside, but but this chilly weather is very agreeable for me to run my professional grade log splitter, the Easton made Axis.
Oh, yeah, it is nice splitting weather. That's one thing I will give
Yeah,
Mother Nature.
yeah. My Axis is kind of like the hub of my wood yard. It's like everything revolves around this axis.
Oh my. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like the meeting point of various things.
Yeah.
Rotates around it.
And there is when I mean I accept my role as an influencer, and I know that a lot of people trust me for what my observations are, and I think, it's earned. Um but I always catch myself when I'm running this machine you lose track of how many steps above, the what would like your entry. I don't know what the right word is. Like I'll just say like the big box store splitters. The ones when I think of a log splitter, up until all of this happened to me, that's what I thought of. Those I-beam splitters
Yep.
with a 14-second cycle time, that if you don't pay attention, you'll drop a split log right on top of the engine and knock the muffler off of it. The ones that you could literally fall asleep while you were splitting wood because they're that slow. Um, but but there's a lot of them out there, and it's because they're reliable, they're affordable, they'll run forever, and they get the job done, albeit slow, 14-second cycle time.
And they're generally, I think, targeted towards that homeowner who maybe is only splitting a cord or two a year.
Yeah,
They're not made for like the next level up, the commercial grade log splitters,
yeah.
which
When
very popular now.
Yeah, when I had one, a 27-ton Troy built. Bought it in town here at Cortland Mower. It was, when I thought of a log splitter, that was it. And I knew of Timberwolf back then because I had seen them at my county fair, but they were just so expensive. they were like $4,000,
Yeah.
for a
Oh my
professional.
God.
Yeah, I know. Or you could buy this one. They were $1,500. They were $1,500 every day, all day. If you got them at the local lawn and garden store, if you went to Home Depot, $1,500. And that was a log splitter. And it got the job done. But I didn't know that there was a different world of log splitter out there. And then, for instance, with me, the next step was the super splitter, the kinetic splitters.
Yep.
And had I known that those even existed, I I don't know, would I've had the courage to buy it, because looking at it and not knowing what it is, it kind of looks hokey. Um, because your I-beam splitters are just tried and true. You know what they do. But now after I had the super splitter and still have it, I would have bought it in 2 seconds and I'd have been much happier.
Right.
But it also has a 2-second cycle time.
But when you bought that was it county line? Is that what you said?
Mine was a
Troy
Troy
built.
built.
When you
Yep.
bought that, you weren't selling firewood, were you?
No,
Right.
I
Okay.
was using it for my outdoor wood furnace. And it was all, when I first started with my Hardy outdoor wood furnace, I bought a Poulin, a 14-inch Poulin from Walmart, for $99. And it didn't have anti-vibe because, again, I didn't know anti-vibe existed. And I was always wondering, why is it my hands vibrating so bad, later that day. And then I learned a quick lesson of never go out into the woods with one saw. So I bought a second Poulin. So I had two of them. And then I thought, there's got to be a better way. And I started looking around and I saw that Cortland Mower was selling Husqvarnas. They had that Rancher, and it was $400 for the saw. And it was the biggest, most intense feeling of buyer's remorse I ever had was when I bought that Husqvarna 455 Rancher. I just felt so guilty from sinking all this money into one saw. But then when I started using, I was like, good night, this thing's amazing. Compared to my Walmart Poulins. Well,
Yeah.
anyhow, when I got the bigger saw, I noticed I was cutting bigger wood. And before, I'd never even split wood. I would just throw it into my furnace because I would bring it home and stack it, and later that winter I'd burn it. Well, I could bring home bigger wood. Well, swinging a maul was fun for about 5 minutes. So I needed a log splitter, and then I thought, well, what the heck? You get an I-beam splitter, and there you go.
There, and you're set. Right.
Yeah,
And they all had the basic features, like you said. It's just an I-beam, a
yep,
ram, hydraulic cylinder that comes out, either pushes the knife through the wood or pushes the wood up against a knife. Basic,
yeah,
simple design.
yeah, and slow. And I would point out awkward footprint. Where do you put these things? They don't fit anywhere in the garage. And then you think, well, you can put them vertical, which is the benefit of those too, because you can do bigger logs that you can't pick up.
Yes.
You put them vertical, but man, to be honest, that wears you out faster than horizontal. When you're on your hands and knees and lugging a log
Moving
around, and
around. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
your hips are done, your knees are done. It's like, good night. There's got to be a better way. And again, that purchase was made not knowing that these wonderful machines were out there.
And yeah, and the other thing, quick, with the horizontal is, I mean, when you're using them, they seem to be built for people that are 4 feet tall. Like they're really low to the
Yes.
ground. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the working height is not comfortable at all.
Yeah. I had thought about with mine of, just finding some milk crates or boxes and just
Propping it up. Yep.
somehow getting it up in the air more and using it like that. But oh yeah, no joke. But they are slow, but they do their job. And I think too, for a homeowner, it's fine. And
Yes.
especially when you consider the price.
Yep.
Yeah.
But now having stepped up to something like the Axis with a commercial grade, in the commercial grade category,
Yeah.
what is to you one of the most, I guess, beneficial features you notice of it? Like what's the one of the most overlooked features that you would say on the Axis?
Oh boy. So for me, and that's because I pivoted from a homeowner, that heats my house with wood, to a professional. For me, it was the logs that wouldn't fit through my processor. I had to cut with a saw and split. Those were the big logs that, as I got older, I didn't feel like picking up anymore. So for me, it was a log lift.
That's what you really noticed and wanted to like have for sure. If you were,
Yeah, it had
yeah,
it had. I was not convinced. I'm totally. I'll look anyone in the eye right now. I am team vertical. I think the vertical splitters are awesome.
oh,
But at that point, I didn't know. Because again, it was different. And the professional horizontal ones, they're faster, but they're also horizontal. They make more sense to me in my head. But the log lift, that
yep.
to me was a big deal. And I don't think the log lift is that important though for everyone, because a lot of people that split, they don't get big logs. So, do they want that extra expense?
But it is nice to not have to lift the round from the ground up onto the, I guess, beam or splitting chamber. It is
Yeah.
that the log lift is a huge,
Yeah.
huge feature.
But I will tell you this, even though I have the log lift, depending on the log types that I'm splitting, I'll only use it like 50% of the time. Smaller logs, I'll bend over and pick them up myself.
Yep. Yeah. See,
Uh-huh.
I'm not there yet on the vertical splitters. I I don't know. I just something about like having your hands right there
Nah.
working. It just I'm not a fan of that. not
I
not a
will,
fan.
yeah, I will be honest with you here. Okay. Okay. Accidents happen. So no one's immune from them. Let's just be upfront about this. When I watch other people run my Easton made Axis, it is squeamish for me to watch.
Yes.
Okay. But when you are running it yourself, because people always say, "Oh, don't put your thumbs on top of that." It is, it's overstated.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can kind of see
it
that too.
is, it is. When you're running it yourself, you're like, this is, come on.
Yeah.
But watching others run it, yes, because I had a gentleman that stopped at my house and was running it, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, every time I was like, oh, don't. And then, but yeah, you run it yourself, and it's no big deal.
Yeah. And so for me, like on the horizontal splitters, one of the things that I think is easily overlooked a lot, a feature, is the adjustable hydraulic adjustable wedge. Being
Oh
able to
yeah,
move your either 4 or 6 way wedge up and down and not having like a set 4 way. Like that to me is one thing that I think doesn't get enough credit and gets overlooked quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I had made a statement because I had a processor once that had a fixed knife on it. Yeah, it was just like the single knife, but it had a slide-on four-way,
Yeah.
and I quickly concluded that it was worthless. It it
Yeah.
had because
Yeah.
it had to be it had to be the ideal diameter for it to hit that knife in the center. Otherwise, you're just mangling good firewood.
Right.
And I made a statement to myself that I will never own another splitter that does not have an adjustable knife.
Yep. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's a huge factor that's often overlooked. And one of the features that now I'm going to ask you what you think is one feature that's overrated the most overrated feature of a log splitter, horizontal, vertical, whatever.
Yeah, boy. Let me ask you that question first.
Oh, okay.
Dan, what do you feel is the most
I I
overrated feature of a log splitter?
I have an opinion on this that I'm sure is not going to be favored by many. I think it's going to probably get a lot of pushback, but I'm
Yeah.
just going to throw it out there that I think the cycle time is one feature that's just overrated and one that too many people pay too much attention to.
Yeah. Explain yourself.
Well, okay. So, I mean, compared to like your Troy built 14-second cycle time, yes, it is an improvement to get a commercial grade log splitter with like a 6 second, 4 second, 3 second, whatever. But the whole thing is that when people look at cycle time, they look at a splitter sitting with no wood on it. They push the lever, they watch the ram come out and come back. And then that's what they time the cycle time as.
Yeah.
But I take into account that your cycle time is when you start one split and then the time it takes you to load your next piece of wood to be ready to be split. So it doesn't matter if you have a 3 second cycle time if you can't load wood faster than 7 seconds, because then your cycle time is 7 seconds.
Okay. Okay. I am digging what you are throwing down. I am. When you had said that, I was like, what? Because I'm thinking of my Troy built versus the super splitter.
Yeah. No.
But especially, you're looking at a commercial grade type of, well,
Yeah.
one push and you're done through multiple knives. So like the super splitter, I would consider it's can be, and I use it as a re-splitter. So I would have the same log in my hand and I would split like 4 or 5 pieces off of it. Different.
Yes.
If I were to do that with the Troy built, you could send me a letter to my nursing home and let me know how everything went by the time I got done. Okay, I am digging this. So you're saying a super duper fast cycle time, especially maybe I'm being practical here, if you have to pay for it. Like the faster cycle time costs more than the slower cycle time, that the limiting factor with that type of machine isn't the cycle time as much as it is the human who is working it and loading it.
Yes. And I will use myself as an example. With the Easton made 37D, I think the cycle time is like 4 or 5 seconds. All right. So if I
Yeah.
have wood that is one push and done, even when the push block comes back and stops and is ready to cycle again, I have to get the piece of wood and put it in there and have it ready. And so I'm not able to move fast enough to keep up with
Yeah.
a 4 or 5 second cycle time. So therefore, the machine really, the cycle time is, it's not what it doesn't end up being 4 seconds because I'm not 4 seconds on the cycle time.
Yeah. So the machine shoved the wood through the knife. It's fully retracted, and you're still standing there adjusting your glove as
Or
you brought
something.
your
Yeah.
hand on. Yeah.
Or
And then you still have to turn and get the next log.
or pushing the next log down the log lift into the chamber. All of those things take time.
Yeah. Well, maybe there's a line to be drawn though, but I'm still going back to our 14-second Troy built. Um, but uh, so for instance, my axis. Now that we're back to vertical here, one knife. The new one that I have is, I call it the Axis GT. It is noticeably faster than my other one, which I felt was fast enough. But now that this other one is even faster, I appreciate it. But I think it's different. It works different.
Right.
It's almost just like a super splitter, except it's vertical. It obviously doesn't have a multiple knives, so I guess we have to stick with the vertical here. I can see that. I think what's the limiting factor? Well, that's not true too. I was going to say the limiting factor is the person running it, but then if I were running a Troy built 27-ton, I think I could work faster than it can produce.
Yes, you could. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You could, because you could have the auto return, the ram coming back. You could be getting your next piece ready, something like that. But even with your axis, like if you had a round that you wanted to split in half and then split that in half again. So like you split it once and then you turn it 90 degrees and split it again. From the
yeah,
time that the knife goes up to the time that you then take the log, spin it, and get ready to have the knife come down again, that's not instantaneous. Like
yeah.
there's time involved there that if you want to be safe and you want to be accurate on how you're splitting, you need to take the time to position that round, and that time is added to your cycle time.
Uh huh. Yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I'm also thinking of this too. The the new Timberox Summit log splitter. Now, so you didn't run the original one because it is still sitting in my wood yard with the 5 horse. I don't know, it was 5 horse. It was a Honda. It
Seven, I
had it
think,
was like
wasn't it?
nine. It was like 9-second cycle
Yes.
time,
Yeah, I saw it run. I
and
didn't run it.
the new one with the 14 horse Kohler is a 5-second ish. Might be a little ticks faster cycle time. And I am here to tell you it is noticeable and it does make you more productive if you want to work that fast, I guess. Some days I don't feel like it.
Well, that brings me to another point of the whole, I guess, debate on cycle time.
Yeah.
Most, like for me, like who is making me meet a certain production quota? Why do I need to split a cord of wood in 15 minutes? I don't.
Said the hobbyist.
Yeah, but I don't. Like I don't need like
Yeah, totally agree.
yeah, it's like who all these people who preach about productivity and cycle
Yeah.
times, and who's putting these like limits? Like who's saying that they need to get that cord done in 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Nobody.
I I I get a lot of comments like that. I hear a lot of comments, time is money. Like the stacking thing. Wasting your time with stacking. You could be making more firewood. And I was like, well, maybe not, because am I going to do anything else today? I don't know if I will or not. Well, what if I don't feel like it, or what if I don't have any wood to make? And I would think, though, if it was a big, gigantic wood yard and you just had all these rounds and stuff and 2 people running a machine, you would probably want a super duper fast cycle time, because you could really just bang out a lot of wood. But that is an industry specific tool that a company purchased. And maybe a homeowner doesn't necessarily need or would appreciate that. Because that
Yeah,
takes, how's the old saying? You can have anything in life you want as long as you're willing to pay for it.
there you go. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think a lot of the guys that are selling firewood as a like side hustle or not completely full time, I think that's the same thing. Like what I'm saying is the same for them. Like if you go out in the evening and split for 2 hours, does it really matter what you got done in those 2 hours? Like you're not under any constraints of like a
Yeah.
supervisor, or something. I
Right.
don't know.
I still live with that as a sole proprietor at my wood yard when I run my processor. My processor has that perfect split system. So the ram makes multiple passes per log. And some people are highly annoyed by that. They like the one push and you're done, which my machine will convert to. So my record for one chord was 17 minutes. And probably my average with the perfect split is 30 minutes.
Yep.
And, roughly twice as long. But my position is, who cares? you
Well,
know, you're
there's that
making a cord
factor too.
of
Yeah,
firewood. Yeah,
who
you're making a
cares?
cord of firewood in 30 minutes. That's fast enough, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's so I don't know. I just have been hearing a lot of chatter out there, and I've been asked many times in the comments and questions about the cycle time of the Easton Made compared to the Wolf Ridge and which one is faster and which one I like more. And it's like I don't like the speed to me is not at all at the top of my list. And I think it's on the top of a lot of people's list, and I think it's just
Yeah.
overrated. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Call me crazy.
the way that, well, again, it just seems that there's a line somewhere, though, Dan. I don't know where it's drawn about, once your machine gets to be so fast, you're just splitting hairs.
Yes.
Is it actually practical? I can't get beyond my Troy built super splitter uh, dynamic, and then I'm kind of stuck on the timber ox because I've witnessed it and I've seen what the difference between 9 and 5 seconds is.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But, you know, I can also see it too that when you got a cycle time that's that fast, um, are you really going to benefit from it?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
or if you're in the market to buy one, is that money well spent to get that couple extra seconds? And maybe the answer to that is no.
Yeah. Is that the number one thing you should be looking at? Is the cycle time? Yeah. I don't know. Because I mean, I'll tell you right now, I would much rather go out in the wood yard and split wood for an hour and get a cord done as opposed to trying to keep up with the machine for 20 minutes to get that cord done, and then I spend the next 40 minutes trying to recover and get my back in shape, and then I spend the next day nursing a hamstring, and then I spend the next week not being able to do anything because I
Yeah.
was trying to keep up with this machine just so I could say
Yeah.
I split a cord of wood in 20 minutes.
Yeah. What's your hurry anyways? Just
Yeah.
enjoy your time, man. It's awesome. You're splitting wood with hydraulically driven steel. What could
Yes.
be more fun than that?
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
my gosh. Anyway, all right.
But how about
Rant
the
over.
reality? The reality though, Dan, is look around, man. There's a lot of cool machines out there, you know? There's a lot of cool firewood machines.
There is. But this is where I guess this is where kind of like my thought on this came in, is that with all the attention being put on certain features, my fear is that other manufacturers try to outdo other manufacturers with just that feature as a focus. And
Yeah.
I think it could be time and energy put elsewhere to make things better. I don't know.
Yeah. Like creature comforts,
Yeah.
ergonomics, yeah,
Like,
safety.
why not have the log lift double as a recliner somehow? So when you're done, that you could like sit into your log lift and massagers come out and give you a massage, and something
Yeah.
like that. I mean, come on.
Uh-huh. An integrated Dr. Pepper cooler.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh. All right. I like
Yeah.
that. All right. Well, this was a fun discussion, Dan.
Yeah.
I think
Hopefully.
anytime you can talk about log splitters, it's a good discussion.
Right. And this is the fun thing about it. Like you said, there's so many things out there now that compared to the old I-beam and the one lever
Oh,
control.
yeah. You ever watch those? I get these random YouTube video recommendations that come up and they'll just like show these crazy wood splitting machines from all over the world. And like the one I can't get my out of my head is that gigantic wheel with
Yes.
a with a wedge welded onto it, and it just comes around like every 2 seconds. If
Whack!
your hand is there or not, it doesn't matter. Just
Or
wham,
or the
wham.
or the one with the wedge like on this rotating wheel that like comes out every, you have to like time placing the wood in front of it to split it. It like it never
Yes.
stops. It just spins and this just keeps going in and out, and you have to like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Oh, the other one, they get like a car rim and they cut like a half of a circle out of it, and it rotates when they shove the stick through it, and it like slices
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I just think of all the damage that thing could do. Oh wow.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll stick to my hydraulically driven steel.
Maybe we need to have an episode on those splitters. Talk about all those wheels and horror splitters of death.
Yes, that's what they are. Good heavens. I saw the one guy, he had his truck jacked up in the back, and he bolted this cone onto his tire, and he put his
yeah.
truck in drive. I was like, gosh, what happens? That thing just starts spinning. You're stuck with a stupid log spinning around at 100 miles an hour.
Those things
Gosh.
are, yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
All right.
All right, Dan.
Let's
Fun.
strike up the band.
Yeah, let's strike up the band. All right.
There we go.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to eclipse our previous discussion on log splitters.
Yeah.
And we want to thank everyone for tuning in and helping make the Wood Hounds the #1 firewood podcast in the world.
And you can find us on your favorite streaming service every Wednesday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern. And if you have any thoughts or feedback, drop us an email at thewoodhounds@gmail.com.
Yeah. All right, Dan, let's tell everyone out there to be
safe
and go for the record
cycle time
and have
a great day.